Well, this is a painting that was from my previous studio, and it was one of those that I really actually painted out of frustration one day and just did whatever I felt like on the canvas. And then I didn't like it and I propped it up against the wall. And when I brought it down to my new space and it was sitting here, I thought, well, now there are some things I think I can do with this. So let's see what you can do with this. So that's really what I'm doing here is reworking this older painting and seeing what I can do and what I can add. And so I'm starting by putting down some mark making with some art spectrum pastels and a little bit of graphite, and now I'm going over it with some matte medium to hold those marks. And some of the marks actually also help create kind of a glaze, and it just adds a little bit more to the surface. So usually when I use pastels on an acrylic, I go over it with matte medium. I rarely put pastels on the top of a finished painting. If I want some pastel looking marks on a finished acrylic painting, I will opt for pigment sticks, like R&F pigment sticks or Shiva pigment sticks, to make some pastel-like marks. So anyway, I'm just reworking this canvas. The other thing that I usually try to have in mind is it doesn't really matter what I paint as long as I'm painting. It doesn't matter whether it turns out, whether it doesn't turn out, because one thing leads to another, and if I paint something that doesn't turn out, maybe the next thing will. And as long as I am painting, that is the main thing, because each thing leads to another. It's all a continuum, it's all a process, it's not a finished product, so to speak. It's a journey, and it has so many twists and turns, and it's a process of discovery. And that is the main thing, is to, not get hung up on, oh, is this good or bad, but is just really to paint, enjoy the process, and know that with something like an acrylic painting, if it doesn't turn out, you can gesso over it. It's good to have experimental pieces, things that you are playing around with and practicing, loosening up, and that's what I'm doing here. That's the most important thing. Now I kind of like the drips that are running through some of this, so I think I might leave some of that alone and let that happen, particularly right down there. That's kind of nice. That yellow was a little much, and I want some green in there, but I don't want it really bold. I want it a little more toned down, so I've got some Viridian and some yellow green, and I've just mixed a little black in with it. And we'll see about that. That actually might be okay. Let's see. I do love Viridian. That is one of my favorite colors. And so I think I'll use this brush. See, this was one painting. I didn't like it, and so I just started messing around with it. oh, maybe over a year ago. And then I brought it to this new space. And I just started looking at it and going, you know, I think I can probably do something with this. We will see how it goes. But, you know, when you have something like this, it doesn't really matter because it was all just kind of a practice painting anyway. So who really cares what happens? I'll put a little green down below too, a little bit lighter version. All right, let's like this here. Yeah. And you know, even with a few months go by, the way that you paint changes. It just always does. Because I can like something. I can like something in September, and by the following April, I'm going, nah, I don't think so. So, I just wanted a little bit more depth in this, and I may want a little bit more of a blue-green. So I am going to use this paint that I have here, kind of right out of the jar, this Titan Green Pale. This is such a beautiful color from Golden, but I think I'm going to use a little bit of this. Fits pretty well, I think. And I did put a little bit of pastel marks in this. Now I could use this golden, this pale, and I could actually mix some other things in it to make a difference. And you know, I'll have to revisit this yellow-green here. Maybe it's not so bad, and maybe I need to take a little bit more of it and put it somewhere else. Maybe in a different way. You know, it's kind of like a spot. It's kind of like emphasis right there. I always ask myself when I put down a color, where else can I put that? I like that little spot there though. And I did put some mark making in here with some pastels, but I went over them with matte medium in order to preserve the marks. And I hardly ever put pastel on top of a dried acrylic painting because the acrylic is too shiny and it just doesn't hold up. So that's why I don't really do that very often. I just use it in the beginning stages for some marks. So right now, you know, this is kind of like I said, this was sitting in my other space behind a lot of things, and I just kind of wrote it off. Then when I brought it up, I thought, now you know you could probably do something with this. So let's just rework some of these pieces that were just sitting there and see what you can do, because it helps me get used to being in a new location. I think I want a little bit of Viridian in here too. And maybe even, you know, I like that red violet. If I had the color wheel out, what is next to red violet on the color wheel would be red orange and blue violet. So whether I'm going to use those colors or not, I don't know, but and I also have some really light Titan Violet Pale, and I do think I'm going to put some of that down, and maybe I will put it down with some satin glazing liquid, which will make a nice thin veil of color. So I think I might do that next in some different places. You know, as I'm looking at this, I really like how this dripped through here, and I like that effect. Okay, also I'm thinking I want a little bit of orange in here for some strange reason, but not very many places. I think I might put it in here. So I'm just kind of rubbing it in here. A little bit of variation. I do kind of like that. And is there anywhere else that I can put that? It's kind of thin because I put the satin glazing liquid in there. You know, I don't like how this just kind of closes here. I think I'll put a little in here. Well, you know, if you put paint down thin enough, you can always put something else over it. So there's a little bit of that, and there's kind of a tinge to it. Well, I kind of like that. And I actually may just kind of bring that down here because, and then wipe it off, because it just kind of added a little, it changed the color just with a little. Yes, I do kind of like that now. How that really kind of changed the color a little bit. Kind of a glaze is actually what it is. So I'm gonna put that just, you know, you don't want, you have to go, oh, that was cool, but don't go overboard with it other places. That's the thing, is don't go overboard with it other places. Just put it down, kind of walk away from it. All right, and how can I, you know, my paper towel here has become kind of a little tool to just kind of put some paint down, loosen it up a little. I don't want to go overboard on that either. One can go overboard on all sorts of things, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to like do a whole painting with a paper towel, although I'm sure you can. You know, it's like when you put one color down, then it's like, well, where else can I put that? I like putting things in the corners of things. So I guess my message to myself and to those watching is that sometimes you are never done with the painting. You prop it, you do it, and you put it against the wall, and then you carry on and you continue and do some more, and then you get it out and look at it and go, I think I can do something with that. Now there's still more left to be done with this. There's also some kind of, I don't know what I used here, whether it was a yellow ochre or something, but there's kind of a gold in here that I might want to pursue also, and maybe I might want to bring some of this color down a little bit more, but I'll take a photograph and then I'll check it out and see what I think. So